Hello and welcome back to Awaken Entrepreneur Evolution. So, my guest is actually a returning guest this time. It's our first time doing this on this podcast. And she helps entrepreneurs to communicate with confidence and deliver presentations in an effective and engaging way, experiencing thousands of people both on and offline that feel internal doubt, nervous to speak up, and anxious to give presentations. She provides the exact techniques to build confidence and become a powerful speaker. And God knows we need more, especially women who are just powerful speakers. Knowing that public speaking is about confidence coupled with strategy and competence, she speeds up the process of feeling comfortable to share using the power of experiential breakthroughs such as firewalking, aero brakes, and many more. With this instant shift, she will then give the technical side that maintains confidence and improves communication, addressing audiences all around the world. Harriet brings a powerful energy and passion, presence to support listeners to step into their true potential and understand not only the power of their voice, but to how to use it for better results in both business and in life. Please welcome back Miss Harriet Bratt. How are you?
Hello, hello, hello. Wonderful to be back with you and your listeners.
It's so cool. So cool. And so we were just talking before the show. Frankly, if you haven't watched episode 1 with Harriet, please go back and watch it because it was one of those times where we were just fully in flow. I had a lot of people call me or text me and they're like, "Hey, that episode with Harriet, you guys were on fire." And I was like, "Good." Um,
Result.
so, it really is all about like getting out of your own way and just letting what comes through but what needs to come through. And so what I was hoping to explore with you a little bit is I'm feeling intuitively like as we move into 2025 and beyond, that really is the name of the game. It's no longer like push, force, hustle, step over others. It's that collaboration. It is like truly trusting and surrendering to that power greater than you, right? And letting it flow through you. So, are you feeling this as well?
Yes, and it's nice as you were sharing then some elements of when we did first speak just came popping into my mind, and I certainly remember as well you talking about the woo and the do,
Yes.
which always makes me chuckle, but I think is so true. And yes, I would say for me personally, more than ever, it's a time of surrendering and trusting and beautifully balancing the moments of empowered motivation, inspiration, drive, whatever you want to call it, but also the other times of calm, of rest, of peace, of allowing yourself to be present in the other priorities of your life. I think, especially as entrepreneurs, it's so easy to get so caught up in everything that we should be doing for business. And we forget some of the most joyous, beautiful, magical moments with family, with friends, with ourselves, in hobbies, whatever it might be in life. And I think we underestimate how much value being in those spaces, giving yourself that precious time, those wonderful moments, those loving hugs with your family, etc., actually fuels how you show up in your business. So yes, I completely agree with you, but I still don't think that everybody, including myself, is doing it in the most natural, easy way.
I completely agree. It's really interesting because we live in duality, right? And there's inhale, exhale, there's up and down, left, right, dark, light. And yet when it comes to especially those who are like, it takes one to know one, like into the hustle, like that's just sort of how we're wired, whether that's programming. For me, I suspect it's programming. It's also just a bit of who I am. Um, but imagine if we just exhaled all the time. Like we can't, same with like light and dark. We have to have both in order to have the experience, especially to feel it at that full potential. And so, taking that time and understanding it, it's equally as important, if not more, than getting the things done. Because what I've found, if there was anything over the course of last year that was the key to my, success, it was letting go more. It was really focusing on the few things and not all the things.
Yeah.
Have you found that to be true for you and your business?
Yes, I really think that's important. And first of all, I would encourage everybody to sit with and spend time thinking what that is. Like truly what that is for you. Because I don't know about you, Jenna. I know that we've had conversations in the past, certainly about our immediate priorities with family, spending time with your children. But it's also checking in with what are the things that you really want to do. Because, and some people will be like, Harriet, I can't believe you're saying this. And other people will be, Harriet, hallelujah, that you're saying this. For some people, they're so used to going to their families every single Sunday for a Sunday lunch. And that's been a tradition throughout their lives. And maybe actually it's quite tough, or it's quite tricky, or they don't get the family weekends that they want to, or they don't ever go off on that van trip or the long weekend with other friends because they're so committed to this Sunday family dinner. And, in your mind, you feel it's something that you should do. But actually, it's not what you want to be doing anymore. Maybe once a month, maybe twice a month, but not every week. So I really encourage you to sit with your life, sit with different areas and say, what do I want to be doing? What truly is a priority? Not shoulds, not what should I be doing, but what do I want to be doing? What are my priorities with myself, with my business, with my health, with my loved ones, with my friends, etc., all the different areas of your life, and really truly understand what is important to you. And even more than that, why it is important to you, so that when it comes to setting your boundaries, when it comes to executing in those areas of priority, you're much more likely to stay focused on what matters to you and not get diverted on people telling you what you should be doing, or the new shiny squirrel that tries to distract you in another direction. So I completely agree with you, but I do think it's something that we need to get super clear on what they are. It's easy to say, follow the priorities, but what are your true priorities?
And I think even to take that a step further, for a lot of people, that might be a tough thing to answer. It's like, wait a minute, you mean I have a choice about doing the thing on Sundays, right? Like, I mean, I remember starting to have some of that, and then it becomes like, I mean, I don't have to do all of these things anymore, and really understanding what you actually want to do. And I'm really thinking right now through more of the lens of like personal life, right? Like, friends, family, but it's the same with business, and really owning that, which can be difficult
Yeah.
because people don't, especially those that aren't on the path that you and I are on, they don't get it when you say, this doesn't feel aligned to me this week. Is it okay if I do that? And
Something came through and I'm not feeling it anymore.
yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say too, is like, sometimes it does feel aligned. And then you get, I don't know if anybody else can relate. And then the day comes and you're like, I wish I hadn't said yes to that. So it's really, I have this one spiritual teacher I follow. He doesn't refer to himself like this as much anymore, but he used to refer to himself as a dot, because he was like, if like he couldn't even see clients regularly because he was like, I don't know how I'm going to feel. And so there's got to be like some sort of happy medium, because
Yeah.
it's tough,
Yeah,
especially when all you've ever been taught is what you should do.
exactly. And I'd love to add, I love that how he describes himself, by the way. In that moment as well, I think something else is we always feel that need to give an explanation. And
Yes.
for me, I don't know about you, Jana, and anyone listening, it was really difficult at first, but actually that's a game changer in itself. Going back to the Sunday dinner example, and I know that's kind of an everyday example, but it could be anything. There are people that end up in jobs working as a doctor or as a lawyer because it's what their parents wanted for them, right? This happens in so many different ways. But actually it's that as we've been saying, the choice in what's important to you and following that, but also the lack of need to explain. I'm ever so sorry I can't make it on Sunday. I look forward to seeing you next week. Done. End
Absolutely.
of. And it feels weird, right? You type out the message, I'm not going to be able to make it on Sunday because actually I want to work on my business, or actually I'm taking my daughter to the beach, or whatever the thing is, right?
Right.
You feel that need to explain it, but actually just get used to trusting yourself to do what you want to do and explain it without needing to give all of the details. Thank you so much for the invite. I'm not going to be able to make it.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to I fully agree with you. Let me say that first. But I also have been experimenting with this because being somebody who's always sort of been a little bit of the black sheep, not afraid to speak her mind. I mean, I still, don't get me wrong, everybody, I still get roped into shoulds. Not saying that I'm totally immune to it, but is there a dark side to that too? Like, I'll give you a crazy example, and my audience just knows what you see is what you get.
Love it.
There's what if, there's a text group with a whole bunch of friends, people I don't even talk to, or a Facebook post, we'll say, and everybody's wishing that person a happy birthday. And there's just a part of me that's like, I don't think I should have to do that because everybody else is doing it. But I'm just saying, like, is there a price for authenticity too, where it's because I have to be honest, all right, before y'all think I'm totally crazy. True part of me is like, I don't know this person that well. I don't interact with this person. Am I saying happy birthday, right? Because everybody tells me I have to. And the answer is yes. I know I sound like a jerk, but that is the answer. And so it's like, okay, is there a time and place for polite? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and so it's like the other side of that coin, because I have taken that at times. It's like, well, I don't want to do Christmas this year. How about that? You know what I mean? And it's like, where does it end? And so I'd love to hear what you think about that, because I feel that a lot. Like, it's not that I don't want them to have a happy birthday. It's that I don't have a relationship with this person. And I see the energy that would drive me to comment and say happy birthday. And it doesn't feel, it's not that I don't want them to. It just feels like forced.
Yeah.
A better word.
I totally get it, and you don't
Now
sound
everybody
crazy
thinks
or like a
I
jerk.
am a horrible person. Please go
No.
ahead, Harriet.
I think we should cut this recording. What you said is disgusting. No, of course not. I think the very fact that you've brought it to the table shows the type of person you are and the heart that you have. And funny enough, there were two almost very different things there, right? The WhatsApp group chat and then the family Christmas gathering. Like, they're on slightly different ends. But I really experienced a very similar thing in a WhatsApp group. Probably middle of last year. I am part of this incredible group, amazing community. We support each other in many ways. We have a monthly group call, which includes a mastermind, and we have 2 live events every year. And it's one of my favorite things to do. It's a space where we refer each other, but really we're just there to learn, support, and grow with each other. It's a space for us to do what we're saying, right? Take off our work hat and just go, and enjoy each other's company. But what I notice in the group chat, most days it's someone's birthday, and it ends up just being, as you say, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday. And I was, like you say, just that sheep going through the gate, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday. And then exactly what you're saying came through me, and I just thought, why am I doing this? I don't, as you say, I don't know the person. It's not that I don't wish them well. I'm just taking time out of my day, and it does become a regular thing because there's a lot of people in this group. So how do I handle it? I don't say happy birthday to anybody in that group. I never leave a happy birthday. But when it is somebody that I know and someone that I am connected with, I send them a private message.
I do that too.
Yeah, right. And usually it's a voice note with terrible singing. Happy birthday to, yeah.
Because it feels sincere.
Exactly. So now I'm nurturing the true friendships and connections. But what I do still enter in that space is thoughtful comments, useful insights, shares. I connect with everyone on the meetings. And as I get to know someone more, then maybe I'm more likely to send a happy birthday. So I think in that scenario, we could apply this to so many areas of your life. And if you're always the happy birthdayer, you're always outputting, and you're not really ever giving time to yourself. So that's just one way of easily giving yourself that balance. And then maybe when it comes to something more meaningful, a Christmas with the family, or someone's birthday's coming up, it's a family member, and you really don't want to go for the whole weekend. They booked like a house that you're all going to stay in, and it's your idea of torture, with love to your families, and you just don't want to be there for that amount of time. Again, I would really ask yourself, and this really helped me, and I love this conversation in this question, Jenna, and I'd like to know what it is for you. But for me now, I ask myself, well, what is important to me, and what type of person do I want to be? And the truth is, I don't want to never see my family. I do love spending time with them. Do I want to go and spend a long weekend? I'm being totally transparent as they come here. I don't. I love them very much, but I don't. Me and my mom bicker a little bit. We're very different. I love her very much. She loves me very much. We support each other, but we are very different people. And a long weekend with us, it just does feel a bit too much. But if we spend a day together, 2 days together, go for lunch, we have a wonderful, amazing time. So for me now, I say, okay, how do I still want to be the daughter that sees my family. I still want to show up. So how can I do it in a meaningful way that we have a great time together? We see each other. We have quality time when we do see each other, but I'm not obligated to show up every Christmas or for the long weekend for all 4 days or whatever it might be. So that was a very specific, and I almost feel guilty sharing that because it really is my truth, and I'm imagining my family listening, but it just is my truth. And it's still important to me to have that time with them, but it's important to me to honor my boundaries and how I would feel if I was in that space for 4 full days straight. And that's just my truth. I ask myself, who do I want to be? And then how can I set those boundaries within that?
I love that because you're not just completely abandoning yourself. I mean, so much of our healing journey is learning how to not abandon ourselves, like how to hold ourselves and how to support, the person we want to be. But in that, of course, it's going to rub up against what other people want us to be. And they are often quite in contrast to one another. And so I love that you demonstrated that happy medium because I do believe there is one. I'm not always the best at it.
Me neither.
Sometimes I don't even feel like I want to put enough thought into it to figure out what the happy medium is. God, Jana. Hello, truth bombs. But it just it's like I've told my mom many times. It's not a no to you, it's just a yes for me.
Yeah.
And I know that to the wrong ears sounds really selfish and self-centered and all of that, but it's so hard sometimes to go to certain things with certain people who don't hold you in high regard. They don't understand you. You didn't go in the box they wanted you to be in. And then when you're with them, it's extremely difficult. I've actually not had this conversation on here, I don't think, but it's extremely difficult for me to pretend and force and fake. It's hard. And,
Exactly.
I can't even do it with the lady at the grocery store. She's like, how are you? She's expecting like, I'm fine. How are you? And instead I'm like, that's a good question. Today I'm good, like,
Yeah.
so it's definitely heightened with family. And it has, as I've gotten older and been down this road longer and further, it does become like holidays especially can be really a challenge. It doesn't
Yeah.
help my birthday's on Christmas. So it like adds more fuel to
You've
the
got
fire.
another
I'm
layer
like,
there.
dang it. It's my birthday. I shouldn't have to go you know. So but I'm glad that we're talking about this because, everybody's always like, be your authentic self and set boundaries and, don't abandon who you are, but also at what cost too.
Yeah.
Because at some
And
point, I mean, there's very few times some of these things I ever want to do.
Yeah.
but I have to figure that out. There's, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm so with you. And and don't get me wrong. I mean, literally was having a conversation with my husband just last week, making plans with friends. Friends wanted to come down for the full weekend, and we were saying, can it not just be one night, and we're having this conversation of, oh, but we haven't seen them for ages and they really want to come for the long weekend, but we've got so much going on, and I've got an event the following weekend that I want some time to like energy from me before going to blah blah blah, all the things, right? But I think it's that question of, again, like, who is the person I want to be? So again, it doesn't mean just like cutting off ties with everybody, but also remembering that you matter too. And in essence, when you're bending over backwards to say yes to everybody else, not only are you saying no to yourself, I love what Jana just said then about you say no to someone else, you're saying yes to you. Well, when you keep saying yes to saying to somebody else, not only are you saying no to yourself, you're actually saying that they're more important, and that what they say is more true, is more important, is more meaningful than how you feel. Because in essence, using that example, your mom wants you to come and spend Christmas with you. You don't want to. Which one's right? Like, neither of them are right or wrong. Maybe one of them feels more right because you've been doing it forever and ever and ever. But actually, both of you just want different things. And sometimes that feels awkward. In fact, most of the time, that feels awkward and hard and uncomfortable and horrible. But actually, if you can just have that conversation and come to some sort of compromise, come to some sort of new tradition, come to some sort of, let's do 2 days instead of 4 days, or let's do every other Sunday, or, again, put the relevant negotiation or compromise into the relevant area of your life. But if you can have that meaningful conversation to show that it still matters to you, but actually these are my choices and this is what I want to do. And I've never met someone, for example, at Christmas. I know so many people, and we chuckle and have these conversations, especially in our friendship group, because James, my husband, and I were one of the first to do it. We kind of cut the tradition and said, we're not going to family this year. What? But what are you doing? We're staying home alone. And especially because we didn't have kids, people are like, that's alien. You must come over. You must. And we just stayed strong. No, we're good, thank you. We'll come and see you on Christmas Eve during the afternoon. And if anyone wants to come over on Boxing Day evening, we're going to have like a buffet and drinks. You're all welcome to come to ours. We'd love to see you. But Christmas Day, we're having to ourselves. Oh my gosh, it was the most beautiful day. And since then, so many other people started doing it and they love it. Why? Because they made their own choice and they did what they wanted to do. And it always feels good. The uncomfortable conversation, the awkward in-between moment is just speaking your honest truth. And then you get the satisfaction of enjoying what you want to be doing.
Well, I have to bring something else to light on that, because I've been doing that for quite a while now. We do have we make our, what is it? Like, we meet in the middle on certain things. But Harriet, sometimes when I am sitting there with just the kids, there's another thought that creeps in that's like, you should have had everybody here. You know what I mean? Like, there's a little bit of regret too. I think what we're dealing with, everybody, is I don't know what to do with myself on Christmas, because it is my birthday and I have children, and I've done the whole nobody's coming over, and I was like, well, I feel bad. And then if I go over there, I'm like, this isn't it either.
I think this is a whole different podcast and a whole different conversation that we're digging into now.
This is me having guilt and shame that I need to process. But holidays for me have always been a little bit, with all the healing that I've done, even to this day, they're still a little bit harder for me to navigate. Then it brings up a lot of like childhood stuff, and just it's not an easy time, and I know I'm not the only one. And we said we were just going to let this go where it went, and I'm glad that it did, because I know that there's other people out there too, and then they make the tough choice and they have the tough conversation, and then the other side of that too is like, can I live with that choice?
Yeah.
So
Well, now we've got prep time, because we're talking about our Christmas plans earlier on in the year. But no, I know it's relevant to
my project this year is to figure out what I want to do
For
on my birthday
Christmas.
/ Christmas that I'm going to fully embrace and enjoy and not feel guilty about.
Can you
So
invite
stay
me back
tuned.
at the beginning of next year so I can have an update on that? But
Well,
I
it's
think what you're saying is
yeah.
true, and it is like with anything, the choice, the decision can happen in a moment inside your mind. The conversation might take a little bit longer, and then exactly as you say, integrating it and embodying it. You know, I'm speaking to it here, and I must admit, more than ever in my life, I feel much more solid in that because I've spent a long time working on it. And I think many of you have probably heard of Let Them, Mel Robbins'
Yes.
book.
Yes.
Yeah, like I'm raving about that at the moment because it's everything that I spent last year and the year before, like really trying to bring into my being. For me, it was the quote, "You can't always control what happens to you, but you can always choose your response." Viktor Frankl. Mel Robbins says it in 4 words: let them, let me. It's a lot easier. Especially when you're in the moment. So I do feel I find it easier now to set those boundaries and to follow through on those choices. But I think what you said there is so important because it does take time. And the first time you shift that tradition, the first time you change the plans, the first time you say no when it's always been a yes, like it is uncomfortable and you do question yourself. But I think again, it's remembering like that's okay. Like number one is we're human. We're never going to be perfect. We're never going to be this polished wonderful example of how to get everything right in every moment. What is right in every moment? You know, we started this conversation and I loved what you said, the truth of the duality in everything that we do. And as human beings, there's always going to be that duality or even multi variety within emotion. And we are going to experience self-doubt, questioning, anger, sadness, guilt, shame, frustration, as well as, of course, the emotions of happiness, surprise, joy, love, gratitude, etc., etc. So I think again that's just part of the process. But would you rather keep doing the thing that you don't enjoy and you come home, I don't know if we're allowed to swear or not, I know
Yes.
we come home
I
bitching and
was saying
complaining.
no, but people have started doing it more and more. I'm like, I need to let my team know that this is the
Let
way
it out, let it
wearing.
out.
And I think
When we
we
come
have
home
to
and we
do
swear at our partners or we're angry or we're annoyed because we keep doing the thing that we don't want to be doing, like do you want to be stuck in that pattern, or as has been said, do you want to just take that shift that is uncomfortable, that does feel funny, but ultimately allows you to do what you do want to be doing and therefore brings you more fulfillment and more happiness?
absolutely. And I think it is being able to just sit with that discomfort
Yeah,
and, and just integrate that. Like you made the higher choice and it wasn't to be mean or in the ego or anything. It was just, you doing what you felt was the right thing. But
yeah,
then, that integration piece of it until it starts to just feel fully embodied. And I think that that's the space, right? That's the space in business. That's the space in relationships between the decision and the integration.
yeah.
And it gets wobbly, so
Very.
whether it's applying a new strategy or learning a new skill set or setting a new goal in your business and making that decision and then managing what shows up
Yeah,
along the way to
yeah,
the thing being realized,
yeah.
and manifested.
And
And
knowing that it will, knowing
yeah,
that it's part of it. You know, I think sometimes we expect to stay in this state of inspiration or state of growth, state of expansion, and it feels so incredible when we're in it. But again, it's understanding and accepting that it is ups and downs. And I always talk about having like, how can we bring more of the calm, content line in the middle, the this too shall pass, but also knowing that we're humans. And I love my highs of highs, and therefore, I'm going to really value and understand my lowest lows too, because it's just part of being human and part of that contrast. I mean, it's easy for me to say in a joyous moment on a podcast. I wouldn't say it as joyfully of this when I'm in it. I'd probably shout it angrily from my sofa. But
right.
again, I would understand that it's just part of us being human.
Well, and I think that that's something that we forget. So many of my clients come into this space and, especially spiritual. I did it in spirituality too. It's like, I'm love and light now. What is happening? Why am I
Yeah.
angry?
Yeah.
And it's like, wait a minute. No, 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 that's not it either. And it's the same over here. People are like, I want that next level. I want that next level. I want 10K months or X amount of clients or to be on certain amounts of stages. And the universe always says yes. But within that yes are the growing pains, are the
Exactly.
uncomfortness, is the direct reflection of what has to be released in order for you to go to that next level. And
Yeah.
I think sometimes we forget about that. Like setting that goal isn't just, it's like Super Mario Brothers all over again. Like you still have to slay the dragon,
Absolutely.
and that's what gets you to the next level. And yes, some of it is tactics and strategies and all the outside stuff, but most of it is the stuff you cannot take with you to the next level to make
Yeah.
space for what you do need. Because, one thing I like to ask my clients is, and I'll ask everybody here, is what would you do if you had 100 clients tomorrow? Right? Like, that's a reality check for people. Like, you have to learn how to hold that.
Are you ready? Yeah.
Are you ready for what that entails?
Yeah.
And I think sometimes people just get so focused on whatever they think it's going to be, they forget what it would actually be like when it is.
Yeah. You're really
You know?
reminding me of the Jim Rohn quote. It's not about the goal, it's about the role.
Yes.
Who are you
Oh, so
becoming? Yeah, just beautiful and so true. Who are you becoming? And
yeah.
what habits slash systems in that scenario do you have in place to carry to support the vision that you have? And I think another part of it is we talk a lot, and I would imagine there's many listeners here, and shout out if you do that do visualizations, maybe even have vision boards that journal. I think for me, one of the game changers with that is absolutely having that vision. Make it loud, make it bold, make it juicy, make it give you all the feels. But with it, visualize and know the pit stops. Visualize and know that there is going to be days that you don't even want to switch your computer on. Yes, there's going to be a customer that complains about something you hadn't even thought about and you didn't even realize had happened. All of those moments just are a part of the journey. And I love, Janet and these amazing conversations, authentic conversations that she is having and sharing, because it's so important. There are still so many people that paint this wonderfully pretty picture of how to scale to 7 figures by doing these 3 things, and it's just not that simple. It's just not, and it's certainly not that speedy or that quick as many different leaders imply it to be. So understand that it is going to be a journey with all of the ups and downs, and it is doable. It absolutely is possible. Whatever it is that you're putting your mind to that you want to achieve, you can do it, but it will be a process and it will be a journey, and there will be the amazing moments of celebration, but there'll also be the tough moments and challenges where you want to scream, mascara cry down your face, and throw your laptop out the window.
Absolutely. Well, it's kind of like going back to me making the choice around Christmas and then feeling the pain of that choice too,
Yeah.
Um, it's both. And so we have to and it doesn't make it wrong. It doesn't mean that I made the wrong decision or made the wrong move. It's just me now having to deal with what's going to come up by deciding to choose what I did. And then again, if everyone can settle into this juiciness of it's all happening for you, because even the hiccups and the bumps and the feeling guilt of the choice that I made is revealing to me still where I'm not free.
Mm-hmm.
And so the idea that you cannot make a wrong choice, it really does happen as it should, and it's going to reflect back to you like, hey, may want to look at this, or hey, I know this is blowing up in your face. It's because it needs to be seen. And then when we can embrace it in that way, it's all a gift, the ups
Yeah.
and the downs. And I know I sound like a spiritual, like Pollyanna, but it's not. It's all a gift, love and light. It's all a gift, but then there's a surrender to that, in a knowing that, like, in a certainty that rises above all of it.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is what has really helped me. I'll leave it at this in terms of, so one of my launches last year, we've gotten this down now, right? We know how to do it. We know what to do. And then, X amount of people book, all the things. And then we have calls, la, 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 la. Well, I didn't do this one piece, this one thing. And I go to check my calendar after the masterclass, and it was like 2. And I was like, oh, but in that moment, instead of diving into, oh my God, I'm an idiot, the muscle had now been worked. And I just told my co-host, Sophie, I was like, we'll just do it again. And that's the shift, right? It's
Yeah.
like, and that's the muscle you're working to get to that next thing. Cause like, it's all good. We'll just do it again.
Yeah.
And guess what? It won't happen again. You know what I mean? But something else will. And so
Absolutely. There'll be something else, but it won't be that.
it won't be that. But
no, I really completely agree. And I think I saw a quote recently, and I'm annoyed because I love to give credibility to who shares these quotes, and I cannot remember who the author of it was, but essentially it was, the most spiritual thing you can do is have a human experience.
yeah. Oh, I just got chills.
I just thought that was so beautiful. And yes,
Yes.
co-creation, yes, being open to the connection and working with whatever that higher faith is, and whatever your name for that is, it'll be different for everybody listening. But actually, like, whatever brought us here, made us here, put us here, again, fill in the blanks of your language and your terminology, but we're here as humans, and we're here to have a physical experience. And that means going through all of those emotions. And I know he's not normally accredited to many spiritual environments, and he's often titled with a lot of the hustle attitude. But I have to say about Tony Robbins, he always talks about the recovery period. And I think that's what it is. What you just shared so beautifully there, Jana, was, it's not that we're not going to feel it. It's not that challenge or tough times or brown trouser situations aren't going to show up. It's how do you choose to respond to it? It's what do you do in that moment? Do you freak out? Do you spend the rest of the day panicking after your launch? Do you shout at your team? Do you get angry? Do you spend 2 days sitting with it? I can't believe that we didn't do this. How could we have missed that? Or do you make that choice that you did in that moment and take a breath and go, oh, that's annoying. Damn it. Okay, we'll do another one. Right.
Right.
But it's true. And there's, with everything in life, I think there's always that moment of how are you responding to what's showing up in front of you.
Absolutely. And I think so many newer entrepreneurs, if there's any place where they just get, as Sophie would say, 'cause she's from the UK, she'd say wobbly, is that, and managing what shows up and making it mean something it doesn't, when really all it is that comeback rate.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, let's get back on the horse, and not turn it into, this means I'm not supposed to do this. Nobody likes me. I'm a failure, or whatever they're claiming in that moment. And just, the comeback rate. And
Exactly.
there was something you said that really made me think, and now it's gone. But it just, I think if people could just embrace that. And I know everybody says, like, embrace the process and the journey, but it's actually quite true. It's so true, because it
Yeah.
is happening to get you where you want to go. It's kind of like this, and then I'll shut up. It's like, I want to be, universe, I want to be a bodybuilder, like Iron Man person, whatever they do. So then the universe says, well, here's this, and you're going to have to learn how to move that. And you're going to have to work with this person to get that. And we're going to make your car break down so that you have to run every day to work. And then we're going to make it so that, you know what I mean? Like, all of a sudden your boat's not working, so you have to learn to swim. Like, all of these things will happen. It's like to get you prepared for what you said you wanted.
Yeah.
And if we can see it that way, there's so much peace there, and I'm still bugged by what you said, that something. But that's
And
the
we'll have to
side
come back for another podcast.
That's
on
right.
it.
That's right. Well, I'm just glad we explored this a little bit more, because, you know, it's always an ever evolving thing. And the more you can always, I don't know how you would put it, but like not Pollyanna love and light your way out of it, but feel what needs to be felt, but then see what the gift is in it.
Exactly. If I've got time, would love to just share one super quick
Yeah,
story
do. Please. Do,
that
do, do.
well, it came through me so many times during it. I should have just acted in the moment, but something else came out. But I just wanted to wrap up and share, you know, I feel that we have gone, I mean, totally into a topic we did not expect, which is
Wow.
amazing, but it's also so important. And I really believe no matter what area of your life, you are, not to speak about your spiritual mentor, but the dot, right? You are that little piece in every area of your life. So the more that you're able to do what we've been sharing throughout this conversation, the more powerful it is for you. And it wasn't so much Christmas for me, but my birthday every year. And I need to put this into context slightly. I'm adopted. I was adopted from 17 weeks, so very, very young. Didn't really know or consciously remember any other family, but had sort of foster parents in between, and then ended up with my biological family, who have done nothing but give me love and support ever since. But of course, that comes with certain influences. And there's a lot of evidence and research that shows, even at that age and even as a baby, you're very aware that you are taken away from your natural environment. And during various kind of healing and hypnotherapy sessions, when it came to really digging into my subconscious mind, rejection was always that word that would come up. And I had these big shifts through the healing, through the journey, one of which, and for anyone that's listening that's adopted, I hope this helps you too, but one of which was like, it didn't matter that it was me. If it was any baby, it was the circumstances that my biological mother was in as to why I was given up. So as you can tell, I went through many steps of this healing journey around this topic. But every year when it came to my birthday, I used to get so excited. I don't know if anyone can relate to this, but I was so like, it's my birthday, it's my day. And I always wanted to celebrate it with all of the things that I really wanted to do. And as I got older, it came to, as we've been discussing, like, am I supposed to go for dinner with family? Am I supposed to go out with friends when actually I just want to go off with James into the middle of nowhere and like just be with nature on my birthday? So I started making these decisions that changed the traditional family birthday meal to let's celebrate before, but on my actual birthday, I'm going to be away. Like James and I will be doing something different. And again, just even having that conversation, even making that shift, when it came to my birthday, I had these feelings of like, oh, should I be with my family? Oh, maybe I should ring them, right? Instead of spending the day present where I was like thinking about speaking to them on the phone, right? So I completely understand and relate to these thought processes that happen. But it was interestingly enough that last year, and thank you everyone for your patience with this story, I hope it adds to everything that we've been conversing about today, that last year it came to my birthday, and I'd been putting into action and trying to embody everything that we've been sharing on this call. And it came to my birthday and I was away with James. I was in the most beautiful hotel overlooking this gorgeous French lake, like absolute heaven, really being completely spoiled. I had some beautiful presents. And I sat there on the bed. I'd spoken with my family, like all of that was taken care of. I'd done all the things. And I sat there and still this feeling, just this feeling of like, just something in me wasn't happy and wasn't fulfilled. But thankfully, because I'd been so conscious, I was able to just sit there in that moment and go, wait a second, Harriet, what is going on here? Like, you've spoken with your family, you've received amazing messages and video messages from your friends. Your husband has bought you breakfast in bed with a rose. You've never had that before. You're looking at this amazing view. Like, you have got everything and more than you could possibly even want or need in this moment. What's going on? And as Janice said earlier in the podcast, and just a small moment, but such a massive message for everybody, I sat with it. I could no longer just make an excuse for what it was, one of the old traditions, what I thought I should be doing. And I had to just sit with that uncomfortable feeling. And actually, it came straight back to being a little girl and wanting a hug from my mum. That was the feeling. That was what for nearly 40 years had made me feel on every single birthday that it wasn't good enough, or I wasn't doing what I wanted, or I wanted to be with different people. Actually, it was none of those things. And when I really sat with it, it was understanding my adoption story, making peace with that, and then embracing everything that was and is magical in my life. So I hope that that just adds a bit of a different spin. Sometimes we think that these thoughts and stories are because of what we've always been doing and feeling obliged. But when we do what Jana says and we take time to just sit with a feeling, we realize that it's something so much deeper inside ourselves. And when you make peace with whatever that thing is, then you can bring more peace into your decisions, your conscious choices, and following through on them after, spending Christmas however you want to spend it. Thank you
Oh,
for giving me the space to add that at the end, Jana.
oh, thank you for continuing so that I could recover. I was like, oh, how am I going to speak? Holy
It's the
smokes.
first time I've ever actually shared that in public as well. And it was just something that really just came through to add here. And it was such a massive moment in my life. But I really feel it was the story for me that was the biggest teacher in the conversation that we've had here on this podcast today.
Well, I love it. I love it on so many levels. But, what I love the most is because it's that inner child, right? Because it's that little girl. We think healing has to be like so complex when it's not. So often it's the hug, it's the acknowledgement, it's the I see you. You want to go, it's the will you play ball with me? It's will you
Exactly.
play Barbies with me? And it's like so simple. And I think
Mhm.
that's like the most Jana, pull it together. I think that's the most beautiful part is it usually is. And if we can just sit with it, it will reveal. And it isn't like, no, you have to go see 47,000 therapists and get like 87, it's just that simple. So thank you so much for sharing.
An absolute pleasure. And I think when you do that, it makes those other choices not easy, but more simple.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, every little piece is like a less of the charge is there. It's
Yeah.
like another petal falls, another. And so I appreciate that. And I definitely will take that into consideration because it certainly stirred up some stuff in me, which is also a clue, everybody, that there's things there, opportunities. And so,
We always have
Harriet,
space to grow. Always, always another level for us, isn't
always.
there?
And that's always a good place to look where there's emotion, trigger, discomfort. That's why we have to look in it. But
Yeah.
thank you so much. And of course, to connect with Harriet, all of her information is going to be below in the show notes or in the description if you're watching this on YouTube. Is there anything that you would like to share with the audience before we wrap up here for today?
I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you to everybody who has been listening. I'd love to hear what your insightful moment was or how you found this conversation, because I don't think it was expected from us to. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. I really want to take a moment just to say thank you to Jana, to the conversations that you're having, for the wealth of information, wisdom, but also just truth, real life experience, everyday conversation that can make such profound difference for people. I admire what you're doing, the way you're doing it, and just cheerleading every single step. This podcast is amazing. So thank you for letting me be a guest, and in a slightly different message than it would be normally, but in relevance to this conversation, I would just like to say to everyone, trust yourself enough to prioritize what is important to you and then take action on it, no matter how uncomfortable it feels at first. Trust yourself to do what is important to you, and as we've said, just immerse yourselves in taking the step by step, day by day. Thank you so much, everybody.
Oh, thank you so much. That was beautiful. Enough said. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and we will see you all next time. Bye for now.
Bye.